We are here today with Kelly Stafford. Kelly is born and raised Georgian and now calls LA home. She grew up playing basketball and went on to cheer. So you were a cheerleader for the University of Georgia where you met Matthew, who's your husband, and you have 4 little girls. And I like how they kind of go because it kind of reminds me of how I name mine. Sawyer, Chandler, Hunter, and Tyler, right?
Yeah, they match.
We're going to ask if that was intentional. And in 2019, Kelly learned that she had a brain tumor and underwent emergency 12-hour surgery to remove it. Following the successful removal, she had to relearn basic motor skills such as balance and walking with the generous help of her family. Matthew was traded to the Rams, and the Stafford family made their LA their new home. As a way to stay connected with her loved ones all over the country, she started the Morning After podcast, where you recap the morning after Sunday Night Football and fun nights out with friends involving honest reflection of modern parenting, friendship, and marriage. And she has a co-host, Hank, and they drop
best friends,
and they drop episodes every Tuesday. She talks about what it's like being married to someone in the limelight and how Kelly finds her own purpose beyond the title of Matthew Stafford's wife, which sometimes if you Google your name, it comes up Matthew Stafford's wife.
Oh yeah. Thanks for having me, by the way. And also, that intro made me feel very professional. So thank you so much.
Someone wrote that for you, or like our
you have people,
or like someone did that for you.
She's sitting right over
Did you do that?
there.
Oh my gosh, way to go! It's whenever we hear someone read about us, we're like, whoa.
Yeah.
They always do it way better than you can, you know?
Oh yeah, we're catfishers. Like,
I know.
Oh my gosh, totally. When they call us authors, we're like, we don't even read. So you met. We'll start with, although you are Matthew Stafford's wife, you are so much more, and we'll have to get into all of it, but you met your guy when you were cheering and he was a football player?
Yes.
It's like the movies.
Everyone says that, and I will tell you it was not the movies. Oh yeah, it had a lot of ups and downs. Let's just say I was ready for a relationship right off the bat and he was not. And so I dated someone forever in high school. That's all I knew. Was a relationship. So I was like, well, we're not hanging out. I don't know what that means.
Oh, you were a relationship girl.
Oh yeah. And he was like, well, this is a little too much too fast for me. Like I'm not in. And I'd never gotten like pushed away by a guy, but I had not felt that before.
I think what she's saying is she's a freaking hottie.
No.
Wait, what university was it?
University of Georgia.
I did hear that. So was he Georgian? Is that what you say, Georgian?
Yes, he's a Texan.
Because I feel like that would be East Coast said, like everyone has different ways.
Oh
yeah.
Because
that sounds very East Coast or West Coast, not South. Like I feel like,
but
Southern,
they're both the same, right?
Yeah, but you would know what's up.
Yes, and you know what? My parents met each other in 8th grade and got married and dated the whole time and all these things. Not that I would ever do that because that's crazy. But love you, mom and dad. But you know, I just didn't really know the non-relationship type of girl-guy friendship. Or
had
more
Matthew
so.
Had a long-term relationship like you had in high school?
He had like a girlfriend, I think, for a year or so in high school.
Okay.
Actually went to the University of Georgia as well. She was a year older than Matthew, and I was a year younger than Matthew. But it was
in high school. He dated a girl a year older.
He was the quarterback of a Texas high school football team, which is like, you know,
Friday Night Lights. Anything.
It was. I had never seen anything like it. I went back for his jersey retirement, and Georgia football is fine, but it's nothing like Texas football. And I went back and we took our girls, and my mind was absolutely blown.
What's it like?
It's like a college. It's like college.
It's like the production.
Oh my gosh, the production, the amount of fans. Like they were lined up outside of the stadium because they couldn't get tickets for that game. So they wanted to see Matthew walk in. And it was, I mean, I'm telling you, I was like, this is how you felt your whole life.
It's kind of that's weird.
Bullshit.
Right.
You know where he doesn't feel like that is here, which is nice. Because football is kind of the
afterthought.
Yeah.
Because they're all like actors and models and producers and
yes, and you know what, in LA there's so much to do. So sports is kind of like it's there if you want to go.
It's so true. It's not cool. You know, we have this hockey team in Toronto called the Toronto Maple Leafs, and
I know of them.
I don't know if people. I don't know if people know of them. I don't know. So
I feel like they're good, aren't they?
It's like Canada's like claim to fame, like our hockey team.
Okay, no, I was just gonna say though, the problem is
we speak English and French.
I wonder if LA is like this, but the fans aren't really true fans. Like they go, it's like clout. Like you go and everyone sort of hates playing in Toronto because it's so quiet, and when they start back, no one's in their seats because they're all like schmoozing at some fancy bar
Corporate.
underneath.
It's corporate. Very corporate.
And people are in suits, and everyone's like, "This is the worst like fans ever because it's not loud.
No.
It's not." So I had to take my son to
because also it's so corporate because it's so expensive to go to our games.
This
so
is,
it's
you're
like
describing the LA Rams.
like regular people can't go to a Leafs game.
So I took,
Real fans.
He
Yeah,
went to
real
a
fans.
Florida Vegas game during the playoffs because his favorite player plays for
Your son.
Vegas, my son, and he could not believe the fans were dressed up. They were like just chirping, smack
So
talk.
fun.
He was like, "This is the best."
And the production was fun.
This is the best thing ever. And
Yeah.
I was like, "Welcome to America!" Like we're just like clap, yeah, you gotta go.
Yeah.
It's silent. The game is silent in Toronto.
It
Snooze.
is. That does sound boring. And I will say it's not silent in LA. It's just people don't either know when to cheer. Like they're there, like a bunch of celebrities come, and so they're there for the clout, like you were saying. And then LA has a lot of transplants, so whoever we're playing tends to be the fans that actually come to the game.
Oh, wow.
Because the Rams also moved back from St. Louis, so there's a lot that goes into it. But Matthew grew up in Texas football, then went to the University of Georgia, which college football in the South is what is like the biggest thing. Like pro football in the South, not that big a deal.
Oh yeah.
College football is huge.
That's nice. Though.
Yes, it was so fun. Then we went to Detroit. Or pro football is huge in Detroit, so it was always he had these great fans that were so loyal and all that stuff. And then we came out to LA, and it's just a little different. But he's always been like this. He's always been so hyped up, And I'm like, this is what you grew up with.
But it's kind of nice for you guys as a family for it to be more chill, right?
It is
for your girls especially.
so nice. You know what? There's a lot of people's kids in this town, so they get to grow up as themselves and not as Matthew Stafford's daughters because the person sitting next to him is someone else's daughter.
Right.
So it's nice. Like they don't have to really worry about that here. It's actually one of the reasons I think we're going to stay when it's all said and done.
Okay. Because I have so many things on. I'm just going to go back just for a minute. Because,
we'll go back.
I was just like, I think from a lot of people who are listening to this, it's like dating a football star and then marrying him seems like, oh my gosh. So like when you started, how did you meet him and like get to the point of being more than just like the cheerleader at the game?
Yeah, I met him.
Did you like give him the eye? Like how'd you get to him?
I think she's a good catch.
Obviously, but I'm
you.
just
Like obviously he's like, how do I get her?
oh, so yeah, he looked at. He was like, like how did it go?
He will tell you. So we started off like I met him before school even started, before my freshman year because we were both there for 2 days. So I was there for cheerleading, he was there for football.
Okay.
And we had a mutual friend that went to my high school who was also a football player who introduced us. First day that we met, we all like a bunch of cheerleaders went over to their place, and him and I literally sat on the couch all night and talked the entire night. I would not let him touch me because again I was a relationship person. I was like, you're not touching me unless I'm in a relationship. That failed later on, but so anyways I just realized like how intelligent and funny he was, and I fell fast. It was
And you were
bad.
attracted right away. He's so cute.
He was so
You
cute.
know-
He was a little pudgier in college, and it was just like one of those
Mm-hmm.
things. Like I don't know, he was so endearing, and so
Did you know what was coming? Like, because we don't know. Like, I don't. Not that I mean, like when I don't know how sports works. But was he like a prospect? Like, was he talked about as someone who was going somewhere? So when you're dating him, was like everyone trying to date him? I don't know how that works. Where you're.
So I think for me, I knew Georgia football. I didn't really know anything past that because I grew up in Georgia, and Georgia football was the big deal. Pro football was kind of like So I didn't really know him to be like a prospect. I knew he was the Georgia quarterback. And I'm also an athlete and grew up in an athletic family. And so I was attracted to athletes my whole life. So I didn't really know what was to come in that respect. In fact, when he got drafted, I had a military ball because I was in ROTC, and
What's ROTC?
it's like honestly it's like a class, but it's you learn like military training.
Oh
Wow.
It's actually really fun. It's a good class if anyone's going to college soon. But so we had you get a military ball, and you get to the guys dress up in uniforms, the girls go in gowns, and so I was like, I didn't even watch it. He let me know he got drafted #1 to Detroit, and I was like, where's that? I didn't even really know. And honestly, guys, I was like, well, this was really fun. Because
you think he's going to go.
Oh, yeah. And
How long
I loved him.
How long are we dating at this point?
We were not official, but we had a lot of, throughout the entire college, we always ended up somehow with each other, even if we hated each other. Like it was.
Did his parents know about you yet?
Yes, they knew. They'd met me multiple times because I would go over there for some cookouts, and his family would be there, or his parents would be there. His mom, more so, his parents are divorced, so his mom would be there. I was terrified of her.
Did your parents know about him?
Oh yeah, I got brought home because of some of my choices. My dad
about him.
One of them was him. Yeah.
See, this is
what does that mean? Brought home.
So I get a phone call. My parents live like an hour outside of Athens. I get a phone call
because from Greece.
No,
I'm just sorry.
Athens, Georgia, where University of Georgia is, and I get a phone call from my dad that telling me I need to come home for the day. It's like Sunday or something. I'm hungover. I'm like,
oh my god, were you so nervous?
Yeah, I had no idea what was going on. I was like, is everyone okay? He's like, everyone's fine. You need to get home. It's like, okay. Well, my brother's friend called him from a bar in Athens because I, was having a good time. And then I got in a cab with Matthew. And so my brother was called by his friend. My brother called my parents. What an asshole. It's like, really, dude?
What was
he was like, you don't need to. Well, he didn't know Matthew at all. He's like, you don't need to be with the quarterback of.
Okay, it's as a parent. That's why
100%.
That's why I asked, because red flag.
Yeah.
And it's sort of like red flag. Like I was always told I was a red flag for him, and he was a red flag. Like everyone's like, "What are you doing?" So I was just curious if the parents were involved, because right away you're like, "Huh." Right?
So what happens when you went home?
We went to a diner that we frequently visited for brunch. And he sat me down. He was like, "We're here to talk about 3 things."
I'm dead.
I know.
I'm embarrassed for you, right? I'm like nervous.
I know. I'll never forget the conversation. He was like, I'd also put on like a good amount of weight.
Oh, the freshman. Oh, wasn't 100%.
Yeah.
And so I love my father. And this is not, he was like, listen.
He's like, "Hey, fatty, stop being a slut."
Let's cut to you know what? You're wasting your time. Carry on. Back to school, babe.
He was like, and my grades were bad because it was my first semester.
Yes.
So I was like
having fun.
I was having so much fun. And he was like, "All right, we're here to talk about your grades, your decisions, and your weight."
Oh my God.
Oh, I love this.
Canceled.
But you know what? I now look back and I'm like, and he said it in a way nicer way, but I look back and I'm like, you know what, Dad? I appreciate that. Cause it was like getting to the point where, something probably needed to be said.
Well, also
you could have gone off the rails.
Just for my own,
the weight is also a reflection of where you were. Like, what are you
Especially
doing
as
with
an
your
athlete.
life?
Decisions.
Are you like athlete? Like, what are we? Are we just
Yes,
drinking and binging all night?
He was like, you have to work out every day. So I'm confused on and we did. As cheerleaders, you had to wake up and work out every day. They would clock you in, watch you work out, clock you out, weigh you. So I was also getting weighed, which you would get canceled now if you did that. But we got weighed every Friday.
So they don't do that anymore?
They do not do that.
Okay.
Which is good, because honestly, that's the first time I had I was aware of my body.
Right.
And I hated that.
Because you were an athlete, it just came naturally to be healthy before.
100%. And although I put on
changes.
some weight, I was still muscular and stuff. But anyways, long story short, he brings me home, tells me that. He's like, "I want to talk to you about your decision making too." And I was like, "What decisions are you talking about?" He was like, "Well, to be honest, your brother called and you were getting into a cab last night with Matthew Stafford." And I was like,
and he knows, because he follows football.
both my parents went to Georgia. It's
They
huge
know
down
who he
there.
is.
They have huge cookouts every Georgia game. They go to the games.
And,
they
and
tailgate.
now they know he's probably going somewhere. No. They know he's going somewhere.
Yes. Well, no.
Like they know.
They just don't even care about. They care about me.
Yes,
They're
totally.
Yeah, they're like, he's going to be there a few more years at this point. So this is the very beginning that my dad decided to bring me home. And after that, I was like, yeah, I don't know what I'm doing. Like the guy won't commit. Like what am I doing? Went back, got my life in order, but still somehow it kept ending up that we would just end up together, whether it be at lunch or just something simple, whether we're at the house with a bunch of people, we'd end up talking and I'd be like, "I hate you. Like, stop. And he's like, "But you're different.
Oh,
you're different."
So exciting. Like, just
and I'm
that
like,
feeling.
But like, what? You're not treating me different.
Right.
Don't tell me I'm different. He's like, "Yeah, I don't invite girls over for cookouts. You're the only girl I invite over for cookouts with my family." And I'm like, "Yeah, but it's not like you're introducing me to your family as that. You're just saying, this is Kelly." He's like, "But," he goes, "I know, I just have a really hard time with this. Like, I don't do relationships very well. The last girl was I don't want to get into that. But so anyways, it was a lot of back and forth. And, he went to training before he got drafted because he left after his last football season, went to training. And I was like, all right. Training was in Arizona. I was like, all right. And he was like, called me 2 weeks into it. I want to fly you out here. I was like, what? Gotta get my ass in shape.
You had 2 weeks.
I'm like 2 days.
Because you had said bye. Basically, you had said bye.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Good luck.
He would be. I know
We'll
he'd
keep
be
in
coming
touch.
back because he'd have pro day. There's a lot that goes into it. I knew he'd be coming back occasionally to Athens, Georgia. But it was kind of like, we're friends and this is great and I love you, but this is it. Wow. And flew out there, had a really good time, came back, and I get a phone call in the middle of the night for my time. His time a little later, and he's like, I don't want you seeing anyone else. Aww. And literally I was like, are you shitting me? You leave
and now?
And he was like, I know, I realized, I think out in Arizona they were at ASU, which is a college campus with beautiful women. So I was like, okay, bye. And I think it kind of, I don't know if it keyed in for him that, I don't know.
He had a quality that was not only gorgeous, but also
history.
Is a good, this
I think
is
history
someone.
too. And someone who just, I don't know, we just got along really well. And I will say, if you asked him when things turned for him, I was playing pickup basketball in our Ramsey Center, which is like our, I don't know, student athletics situation. And he came to play and he watched me play and he was like,
yeah, unexpected for being so short too.
Yeah, well,
I don't think I just called you short. That wasn't how tall are you?
I'm 5'3". But this is also why my teeth, because I had elbows and all my teeth died in the front.
Basketball player.
Yeah.
And cheerleader.
God, that's such a nice story because it's like you found yourself, but you also got to not be, it's not like you just had a love story, but you did have a love story and it sort of went all over the place. But I mean, it's hard. It's like it started dating someone whose life is all over the place. And then you basically have to kind of make a decision. Am I going to follow you around? And then I don't think people realize you get a phone call and you're not really sure. I mean, yours is very successful, but sometimes it's like, you didn't make the team or you made the team or you're gone. Thank you for coming out. You just moved your whole family somewhere. And you're like, okay, all their friends, everything pick up. So your relationship has to be different in order to sustain what you live. Right?
Yeah. And I think there's a lot of trust that goes into it. I remember him asking me to move up to Detroit we were not engaged, nothing. And
were you graduated?
No, I had one more year left, but Georgia did not have a nursing program and that's what I wanted to do. So I was looking at transferring out anyways. And so he was like, well, why don't you come up here, live here. And he looked up nursing programs and sent them to me. But it was hard. It was a big decision because I didn't have a commitment.
Yeah. In Detroit, we like Detroit, but it's cold.
It's cold.
Wait, move up here and live with
South.
me?
Yeah.
Live with me, but there's not a commitment?
How'd your dad feel? Your dad's like, no.
And my dad's very old school, traditional, which I love about him.
Yeah.
He was like, no.
Oh, commitment being engaged.
Yes.
You
Yeah.
are committed in a committed.
You're giving up your life to go live with someone who you're not sure it's going to pan out, but you're giving up everything.
Yes.
Because I said no. I didn't move with I was like, no.
Yeah.
I was in social work and I was like, nope. I'm like, good luck. If it works out, it works out. But he ended up playing for where we lived anyways. But I was like, you know what? I probably know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
I'm just we'll be friends. If it works out, it works out. And he just kept calling. I was like, okay.
I kind of love that though.
But
if it's going to happen, it's going to happen regardless whether you move or not. And I truly believe that. I felt that it was honestly not a horrible decision just because I was looking elsewhere anyways. And I also, we had done the whole ups and downs and I loved him so much. I was like, I got to try it because you know what? I got to put everything into it and see. I missed him a lot. And so I went to my dad again and he actually sat my dad down to, go over it all. And my dad was like, you know why I don't feel comfortable? There's no commitment on your end. He was like, I'm very committed to your daughter. He was like, I believe that I want to make sure that living together and we still are this amazing team. And he also said, I also want to make sure she's okay living the life she is going to live.
Do you ever think about your daughter? If this was your daughter?
Oh my gosh, all the time.
right? Because you would probably feel this. You'd be like, no.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah. We have a Father's Day podcast that came out, and asked Matthew that same question. If your daughter came to you and said, I'm going to move first, and he was like, I would hope I'd raise a really, he's so
good.
I know. He's like, I hope I raise a really smart daughter that she knows the decision she's making, and I will support that decision. But I would want her to know like the consequences of whether it didn't work out and stuff like that. And so, you know what? I took that leap of faith, and I'm so glad I did.
Yeah.
You're having fun. What a fun life.
It was fun. And I went through the nursing program, graduated the nursing, was a nurse for a while. Yeah, so helpful.
I'm like, we should all become nurses.
And it's also really helpful for my husband because he's a lot of times dealing with things. So
how long after you moved to Detroit did you guys get engaged?
Oh God, not like forever. It took forever. Not really. It felt like forever. I don't remember what year that was. We got married in 2015, 2004. So maybe like 3 years.
Wow.
And my dad was like, what the fuck? Yeah.
I have to, like as a mom, because you had 3 kids when you got a brain tumor. And I mean, even when we're sick, it's like we have to be okay for your kids because you're worried more about them.
100%.
It's sort of like you can't deny that something. I mean, even when I went to go have a baby, I was like, no, we're all good. Like I was like, yay! Like you have to, even though you feel like terrible, you have to feel good. And he obviously is playing, and then has to double down too. Was that like one of the more challenging times as a mom, as a person, as everything?
How old are the kids when this happens, and how did you know there's something wrong?
Sorry, I'm counting.
Yeah.
Hunter, when I found out I had a brain tumor, Hunter was like 5 months. So Hunter was 5 months. The twins were, that would make them like 20 months. They were all under 2.
I remember this.
And it was really, honestly, like I was so happy it wasn't them. That's like what I kept telling myself. As long as it's not them, I can battle through as long as it's not them. But I will say after like going into the surgery, I was fucking terrified. You know, it wasn't cancerous, and I knew that. So that was such a like light at the end of the tunnel. But brain surgery, for all it's for what it is terrifying.
It's also not like an easy like, this is every day. Like, no, probably just pop in and you like,
It was, the tumor was larger than they thought, and just sitting on 3 nerves that honestly, if you wiped out the nerves, you would lose your hearing, and I'd have a Bell's palsy. And what's the other one? Oh, balance, which they did my balance nerve. That's why I had to relearn a lot, because I had to teach my brain to rely on one side. They wiped out my right side balance. But anyways, there was a lot going into that was a little scary. I didn't want to wake up and my kids be like, what's wrong with you?
Right.
You know, like your face, but more so I just wanted to wake up.
What did they tell you when you went in? They were like 100% you're going to come out, everything's going to be fine, or like what were the risks?
I'd lose my hearing on my right side, the balance would go, and I could have a Bell's palsy. Those were the risks. And then there's also the risk of just going into brain surgery in general, which they go over, and you go, please don't go over that. I don't even want to know. But I wrote all of them letters, just like, just to make sure they were there. And I'm grateful I had the doctor I had, because I had an artery that was misplaced, and he actually had one other patient in like his thousands of surgeries that had the same artery misplaced, and it's right where they cut in. So that's why he always says he cuts like gentle in, because he doesn't want to hit
an artery.
Yeah,
because then that's not going well.
So I think God placed me in his hands for that reason, and that's why the surgery took so much longer than expected, is because they had to find a new way in.
Your family must have been like, oh my God.
And all they had was a pager, and it said, hit a roadblock, surgery is going to be longer than expected. That's it. And I also think I married Matthew for this reason, because he is so calm.
Yeah.
That's like his job in a huddle, to be calm under any type of pressure. And my family is a lot. And so my mom and dad are like, what's happening? He's like, it's going to be okay. They said she's doing great. They hit a roadblock and surgery's going to be long. Like, well, what does that mean? And he's like, I'm not sure. but they said she's doing fine. Like he had to.
He's second by second, not hour. It's like he's second by second. We're gonna get through this second. It's fine right now.
How long was the recovery, and who helped with the kids?
I had to send my kids away
to
Tatiana, who she had been helping me since they were born. She's incredible. She's Colombian.
Like to live with her?
They were with her for a while. The doctors did not want them around because of my balance. If you can imagine retraining your brain, but also having things moving underneath you, it'll be a disaster, and all they're going to want to do is be on you.
And as a mom, it's like you push even though you shouldn't.
You push even harder.
You don't even think about it. Like it's like I can do it even though you shouldn't do it. So they're like, don't do it.
Exactly. And to be honest, I pushed hard and ended up in the ER because I wanted to get better. I wanted to get better for my kids, and ended up in the ER with excruciating pain. They added me on a lot of steroids to decrease the swelling in my brain. I tried to taper off of them. Brain swelled and ended up in the ER. So that was a good lesson for me, I would say. You have to actually take it slow with.
Did he,
how long was the recovery?
It was, I think I was back on my feet, like kind of relearning to walk. I actually walked a little bit in the hospital. I had to have like people around me, but, and then doing things on my own, I would say 3 to 4 weeks, like walking and making, just kind of.
Did you comprehend at the moment, or was it like after you're like, oh my God, like, don't you feel sometimes like you go in survival mode and then you can't even feel what happened. And then it's like, what happened?
I look back a lot and go, holy shit.
I did that.
Yeah. Like it was.
Yeah. Holy shit.
I got diagnosed in January and surgery in April.
How did you know? Why did you go to the hospital?
I was having vertigo. So and the one main thing that made me go, it's just like a bunch of dizziness, but the one thing that made me go was I had a spell and I was holding Hunter and I like threw her to Matthew because I could feel myself going down, and he looked at me immediately and was like, we're going to the ER.
Also weird is sometimes you get that after kids.
Oh,
like, I get vertigo after kids. Like I couldn't fly. I'm like, Nat, I can't. I have to sit by the window because I'm gonna like pass out when I fly. I have low blood pressure too, so it's very normal. But I know that a lot of people are like, oh my God, I have that. But it obviously was intense.
Yes,
like regular for you.
Yes, and when they tried to give me the drugs that help with vertigo, it didn't touch it. And a lot of people come in actually with this type of tumor with hearing loss. Because it's sitting on their hearing nerve, and that's kind of what they come in with.
So I have to have a sip of water if you want. I feel like you want a sip of water.
I can't believe I actually think like, and obviously you've thought about it more, but it seems like it was actually a great age for the children because they're so young that they probably won't remember, and they also can't possibly comprehend what was happening. So it doesn't feel scary. Like right now, our kids would be so freaking scared.
Yeah.
If we had to go and have brain surgery because they get it.
Mm-hmm.
We often say, I don't know how old Matthew is. How old is he?
Oh God, 36?
30 something. Okay.
37?
We often say that men have to go. So controversial maybe, but sometimes men have to go through something in terms of like a loss or a serious event or like something in order to grasp like emotionally how precious life is, right?
The importance of life.
Like in relationships, and just nothing's that big of a deal until it's something major and you're like, oh, like I don't know how to put it. It feels like
it's like women just like naturally have it.
Yeah. And men aren't as like, I don't want to say evolved because that makes them sound so bad, but it just sort of like everything just a little bit easier for them.
Yeah.
And we deal with more in a way.
Yes.
And it's like they catch up when they're older, but it takes something for them.
And sometimes it's like a man. Sometimes it's like
a divorce.
Yeah, divorce.
Or,
and then he's so great to his next wife because he's like learned.
Yes.
Like, oh, it's not always just. Do you think that it like made you guys like indestructible because it's like what life was really, because you're facing something so serious?
Yeah. And I think you're dead on with I think emotions. Women just are more emotional and can feel things harder. So I feel like we know that life is precious and things like that. But I would say I always going into it, I was like, why is this happening to me? And now, I heard someone else say it, but why it happened for me. And I'll say that because Matthew and I were in a pace of life of just like getting through the days. We had 3 young kids. He had a new coach again. Like there was a lot of things that we just weren't taking the time for each other either. It was like, we're just getting through. This happens, and you learn immediately to slow down and just kind of appreciate what's around you. I think we both as like our marriage and our partnership grew a lot.
Yeah.
And our family dynamic too, you know,
him as a person, like nothing's that, because your husband might not be like this, but athletes, like when they lose a game or something, I'm like, they're so upset. I'm like, it's not, I don't, terrible girlfriend. I'm like, it's not that big a deal. No. And he's like, but it's my life. I'm like, I know, but you know, because it's hard.
Yeah, it's hard
when you see things and you're like, it's not that bad.
Yeah.
And how are we gonna get our husbands to like get there?
I know.
What should we do to them?
Divorce. No, I'm to remarry, divorce. You know, but
I don't want to have. I don't have a brain tumor.
No,
and I don't want to get divorced.
But I feel like
we're gonna have to think of something.
I feel like what you
just break both your legs and you can't do anything, and they have to do everything.
Really,
and they appreciate you.
I really appreciate it.
Long term,
or just
terrible. But you know, just go off your meds. Cause some drama and then get back on them. I think that you're it's like it was kind of a gift, because like what's important, what's important so early in life, and that takes so long, so often for people to get there. And is that part of why you wanted to start your own like identity out of like, did you have a wake up call, or did you have something where like, oh, I need this, that, or what was that?
You know what? It's taken me a really long time. This is my feeling of worth. I love Matthew so much, but there's a lot that comes with being his wife or his girlfriend or his fiance, or his wife that had the brain tumor, or, so there's a lot that comes with that. You kind of lose who you are. And I would say it didn't just start with him. It started when I was a little younger. But I finally came here, and I closed myself off in Detroit, because as much as I wanted to, there are a lot of fans there.
And there's hardcore.
Yes. And sports are like, you are talking hockey, like Red Wings is huge. I would say the goalie for the Red Wings and the quarterback for the Lions have the two toughest jobs in Detroit.
Because they hate you if you're doing bad, and
100%.
they love you if you're
100%. And you know what? It's loyal fans. And coming here, I realized how amazing they are. But I came here and I told myself I wasn't going to do that, because I didn't make any friends and I was very lonely and all these things. Came here, was like, you know what? I'm going to branch out. I'm going to start something new. I want something that's mine. I was always either his wife, the girl's mom, my brother's sister, because my brother's played in the league and a very good athlete.
Oh,
so
your brother's in the NFL?
He was in the NFL for 6 years, and now he's a coach for.
Oh,
poor you.
But yeah.
I mean, I also was a twin sister.
Oh,
so my brothers were twins.
Okay,
and I was a sister, and
John and Mark's sister.
You're the twin sister.
Yeah.
It was always like, oh, you're the twins. Your brothers are the twins. It was always just like, you're the twin sister. And it was a much smaller scale than you, but I understand what you mean by that. Like, it's like, you're the twin sister.
Yeah. Like going through high school, I was his little sister.
Yeah.
And so like, it was always just, I never felt like I had my own identity. And coming here, I felt like LA, it's always a place where people are starting fresh.
Yes.
And
everybody's
coming up with
somebody
something.
too.
Yeah. And so I was like, you know what? My kids are starting to go to school. I'm just going to hop on this podcast bandwagon, and I'm going to talk about things that matter in to me.
Yeah.
And whether people agree with it or not, that is what it is. And so that's kind of like how it started. It was in the back house, in a guest room, and it was not good, but it got better. And I will say, like, it gave me a sense of just, I'm like, even talking about my podcast, I feel like I'm like speaking beliefs that I truly believe.
Yeah.
And not Matthew Stafford's wife believes.
Yep.
And so that was something that was so refreshing for me, and that I loved.
Yeah.
And, people probably started listening for him, like, because of what it was, but now it's turned into something completely different. There's not much football involved in it. And it's really just like a community of moms that are positive and supportive. And it's funny, you go on my social media, like my page, my personal page, and the comments are horrible. People are fighting with each other over random shit.
Oh yeah, welcome to
commenting just mean things, even under like photos of my daughters, which I want to ask y'all about that. We'll ask y'all about that later. But and then you go on the podcast page, and everyone's like pumping each other up, and it's positive, and it's just like, that's what I love about it.
Yeah.
And so anyways, I started it to just have something for myself, but it's turned into so much more for me.
You know what's so, I just want to say one thing. What's so weird is that it's like when you become a figure of something so positive, something so huge like football, they think they get to have an opinion on you. Like they get to, like I get to. And that's you signed up for this, so that's my right because your husband is either a hero or the worst thing ever. Like so, and you are responsible for that too. That is such a weird mentality, but it also is like social media. Oh yeah, like it's actually horrible. Almost the exact same that they think they deserve,
and you have to answer to everything, and they need to get to know every single detail. And if they don't know it, they get to assume that it's true.
Yes,
that's very much the same.
And it's also whatever I say, my husband's saying. And I'm like, they'll take things will be taken from the podcast and, it'll get blown up out of context, whatever. And then people will come to my personal page and say like, I can't believe Matthew would. And I'm like, first of all, this had nothing to do with Matthew. Right. This is, if you want to go listen to it, but they won't. And you just have to like wrap your head around that. And so, as much as I'm always going to be Matthew Stafford's wife. That's just what it is to the whole most of the population, but to the community of the morning after, I'm not that.
That's so nice.
I'm just Kelly, which is it really is.
Also, it's so unprogressive of people to think that
you're just somebody's wife.
That's so sad. In a way, because
it sucks.
We can't have a football league because no one gives it to us. Like women can't go have their own football league. We just got a hockey league, and we just got
a WNBA team.
So it's sort of shitty that they do that when you have 4 daughters who are watching, and you are so much more than a wife. And
when you started the podcast, was Hank with you from the beginning?
No.
Okay, so you started alone, and then. Tell us who Hank is to you.
Okay, so I started alone. I got to a point where I was like, this is fun, but I would be way more fun with a best friend.
Yeah.
Like you guys. So, and I think actually, I'm not going to lie, I think I might have like been watching y'all social media, like, this would be so much more fun.
It is.
I had a best friend. Like, y'all look like you have so much fun.
Yes. And there's less hate because there's 2 of you.
Yes.
It's interesting.
Yes.
You need to share the hate.
Yeah, and if there is, it's like, it's
like, and sharing the hate. I love that too. Like, it's like, oh, well, there's another one.
It doesn't hurt you. You're like, it's the 2 of you. Oh, well.
Yeah, exactly. And so I reached out to him. I was like, you know what? I miss Hank. That he was my one friend in Michigan. I miss him so much. He was
your friend from college?
From Michigan. So like when I say I didn't open up, the only person I opened up to was Hank because he didn't know football at all.
How'd you meet
Hank?
I met him so he is in TV. Okay. He works for Channel 4 and he did a bit with our punter at the time.
What's a punter?
Punter. Punt.
He kicks the ball.
He doesn't make puns.
I love y'all so much.
I heard punter too.
I'm like, what's a punter?
Must be a punter.
Not a kicker. There's a kicker and a punter.
Kicker and a punter. And so the punter got to know him and the punter was our good friend. And so he brought him around some and that's how we got to, but he knew nothing about football. And he'd be like, you want to go to the game? He's like, will there be cocktails? I'm like, yes. He's like, okay. And, if I asked anyone else, he'd be like, oh my God, really? I can come.
Right.
So it was just a better friendship dynamic. It was a real friendship.
Is Hank the same age as you?
No, he's 50.
Is he married?
He is divorced from his partner.
And does he have any kids?
He adopted a daughter with his partner.
Okay. How old's his daughter now?
His daughter is 5.
That is so convenient.
Okay. Yes. So right in the middle of mine. So like I had mine and then he went through an adoption that failed, which like I will never forget that. Adoption is such a I don't think people realize how crazy it is. And then had his daughter Emma, or got his daughter Emma, and she is just like him.
Oh, really?
Just like him. So I miss them so much. I hate that we're so far. I'm trying to get him to move out to LA, but there's no chance.
Yes, definitely keep working on that.
I know. I want to.
And you know what? He has to come record regularly.
Yeah. I know. And this podcast is going to be so big that there'll be
no, he should just make
his daughter and his partner.
Maybe he splits it like 50-50.
Okay. Yeah, we'll work this out.
So on the 50 he comes out.
I mean, I feel like his partner is an international lawyer for Detroit, or for what's the Deloitte.
Oh,
Deloitte.
there's offices here.
That's what I said.
Yeah.
It's like, hey.
Also, there's summers. They get summer
Just-
vacation. He can come move out for 2. It's like the summer I turn pretty.
agree.
Come on out.
And
for-
I'm like, he's like, well, Emma, I bring her. I
yeah.
want you to bring her.
Oh,
Like,
yeah,
my
get a
daughters would
mother's
love to see
helper,
her.
you know, or a nanny.
Detroit
Yes.
or LA.
I know.
I think that's
Oh,
obvious.
we're gonna make this happen.
I would-
I know.
gosh.
Let's get like in Laguna or somewhere Malibu. I don't know
mean,
where
I
y'all
would
live,
love
but
that.
somewhere go on the beach.
I
Do
was
you
summer vacation.
So
So you are virtual when you podcast with him.
Well, no, we actually we travel to certain cities. We're gonna start, but we're doing live shows in certain
Yes.
cities, and in those cities we'll bulk record, and then we hop
And
on.
then he moves here for the summer.
Yeah, exactly. And then every Monday we hop on to like get a little quickie in. We call it a quickie.
What does Matthew think of all this?
of the
Like
of the
you
quickie.
traveling, and now you like.
Oh, he's so, you know what? He's
Loves
like,
it.
I'm so proud of
Oh,
you.
he's so perfect.
And every time he comes on, like, cause we have him on, and we had him on for a Father's Day podcast. We actually did it from the Rams facility just cause it's his 2 loves. Father, well, and me, obviously.
Yeah, 3.
But did it from the Rams facility, and he was heading home, and he was like, I just want to tell you, like, you're so good at this. I so enjoy every time I sit down with you, and just like a really nice. So he's happy for me. I think he's kind of saw that path I was going down of being
You
like,
kind of started that way, by the way. That's how your relationship started.
yeah.
It's like not shock. It's not like you were like,
Yeah.
It's sort of how it has gone.
He's known me. He has known me through all of my ups, like the lowest of lows and the highest of highs. So
That's your best friend. He's your best friend.
oh, he is.
He is.
Oh, and he makes me laugh. He's such an asshole, though. Like he's like the funny asshole.
Yeah.
And all
kinda
of his
hot,
teammates. Oh yeah, all of his teammates think of it the same way. Like his number 1 receiver, his name's Cooper Kupp, and he's like, God, you're such a dick. I'm like, I know, but a dick in the party like makes everyone laugh, including him.
Yeah.
I have to. I know, like we've taken
I've got
so
more.
much of your time.
We can't stop.
but
Soon. I need more.
I want to say, does he think about like retirement?
Oh yeah,
Okay, and you,
yeah,
like,
we're to that point.
and are you
That's
going
why
to
you
be
know you're
okay
gonna
when he's home all the time?
I think he's gonna have hobbies.
Yeah.
I hope.
It's
But don't they- and
it
then
was
they-
a hard. It was a really.
And then they go on the TV and they talk about football.
it was a really
might be
hard
one of them.
transition. It was a really.
I think it's
hard. It
Yes.
was. And I say my husband misses the dressing room the most. Like he
locker
misses
room.
whatever it's dressing room, locker room, whatever it's
Oh,
called.
that's
The camaraderie or the feeling of that.
It's just like being around men too,
I
just having that
guess.
like.
Oh, that
so I will
sounds
say
fun.
too, like he goes to football and he's surrounded by the most manly men.
Yeah.
And then he comes home
5
Early
women.
and he's surrounded by all this feminine energy, and so there's a good balance right now. You know, he
Yes,
gets his
it's
fill.
true.
And so we talk about that too. I'm like, listen, you're gonna have to figure that out because
You're like, I got my thing now. So
yeah,
you're gonna have.
I
that
have
thing too.
mine, you know, and he loves golf, and I think he will probably go into the announcing thing.
Good for him.
Wait, how many more years does he play for? Do people know? Like, what? He's like, when's the contract up?
Oh, I love that you asked that. We
they don't
are
know they're
currently working, or lack thereof, working on a contract, but yeah. So I don't really know. I think on his deal right now, he's too. I don't know. I never know his contract.
more than a couple months.
Oh yeah. So he'll this season.
It's not. It's you have one for next year maybe.
Yes, this season. But like again, we talk about it too. Weekends are starting to become more for the girls. They have sports games.
Yes.
So it's like,
Just you wait, baby.
yeah, I'm
so
sure you guys
crazy.
see.
Oh, it's
and
not.
I'm sure I'm gonna miss football because I'm having to go to all these fucking sports.
Yes.
But I love my girls. But you know, when they're young,
What are all their
that's tough
ages
to watch.
again right now?
I have 2 7-year-olds, one that's about to turn 4, and one that's about to turn 6.
You did that in a weird order.
Yeah, sorry. Well, because you know what, the 4-year-old's birthday is like about to happen.
Okay.
So that's why I did
7, 6, and 4.
Yes.
Whoa.
Yeah. So, which is they'll all be in high school together.
That's
oh my
great.
gosh, yes.
That's-
So
Well,
will
'cause
ours.
We have 7.
Yeah.
Between like we'll do. They know we have 7, but wow, you have so many.
Okay.
we're gonna keep going.
Yeah, no, I just want to make sure I get the answers out. So like, so now you're saying you're going to call this home, but if and when he ends up retiring, you don't consider going back to like Georgia?
We go back to Georgia. My family's there, and
Yeah.
I grew up my dad has 6 brothers. They have a family business. We all grew, like all my cousins, we all grew up within like 5 square miles of each other.
Yeah.
Went to the same high school, all the things. I love that. I think it's so special. That would be the only thing pulling me back. But unfortunately for I would say for my daughters and for me, you go back there, he's still this Georgia quarterback that was there. And all of a sudden it's more, I'm Matthew Stafford's wife. My kids are Matthew Stafford's kids. And you know what? As a woman who's dealt with it, I don't want my kids dealing with it. So
this is a good life for them.
It's good. You know what? Because no one really gives a fuck.
Okay, yeah.
Or they think, you know what? I don't know. It's just, in a way, it's so weird because people would think that it's the complete opposite in LA. That people like.
No, it's why the Beckhams moved here.
They blend. Now they don't blend, but
they did. And when it was like the height of, because London, I watch all the soccer, Netflix things, and they're crazy. They are.
Their documentary was
like, I don't know how many people fit in an arena here or the football stadium.
Soccer's wild. Or
football, there's like 80,000 of them that fit in there, and they are
crazy.
They're crazy.
Yeah,
like
those are fans.
No, it is like
Beyond.
I would be afraid. Like they could. I was like, I was like, oh my God, I could never. I'd never even recognize these people in my life, and I'm like, they are. Wow.
Yeah, and you know what? You move here, and soccer's not as big of a deal. He's still going to be a huge deal.
Always. I mean,
but
they're
always,
not flying
right?
under the radar. But when it was the height of it, it's why she came here and she was like, "Oh my God, I can walk outside, and they're too cool to talk to you. Everyone's too cool."
Yes, everyone's like, "Well, I'm somebody too."
Yeah,
so.
I'm bigger than you anyway. So what's the big deal?
Exactly. Could you imagine that life though?
No.
Walk outside and your kids, like if you
kids.
played a bad game, your kids at school are getting. You know what I mean?
Like hate.
We actually had a soccer player at our kids' school. And these kids would be like dick bags about the dad, like as a player. I'm sure that this would happen to you as well. And they would like say shitty things about the dad. And he was like the captain of the FC. I don't know what it's called.
Yeah. No, he was big.
Yeah, he was like big. Like, and
his dad was the coach. Isn't that weird? His dad was the coach. And I
thought he was a player.
And his dad was a coach. Like his dad, like the
grandpa
was a coach.
Wow. Yeah. And they could be such dicks. And also Lowry went to our school, right?
The basketball player.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Okay. I got to get 3 things out because I want them to be on this podcast.
And are you freezing? It got really cold in here.
So cold. My nose is cold.
Okay. Are you cold?
I'm in sweat. So
right. Okay, you're good.
My toes and nose cold. I'm gonna just say the 3 things so I don't forget, and then we can answer them whenever you want. Number 1.
We have to end this soon.
I know, but I'll get them out. I'll just get the answers because I want them to be on here. Number 1, like where and how do you find friends? Number 2, do you ever worry about what you're saying? And can you be totally open and honest on your podcast? Like, do you ever worry about like that it's a reflection on your husband? Like people ask us, like, what do your husbands think about talking about everything? Do you talk about everything, or do you think about that? And then the 3rd thing was shit. See, I knew if I didn't get them out fast. Okay, that's okay. I'll think about it while she's talking.
Okay, so first question, where do I find my friends? My friends here I found in the community we live in. Okay. It's an amazing community. They have kids our kids' ages. It's easy. Actually, 2 of the families that we're very close with, the dads are ex-athletes. So they get it. They get the schedule. They just understand, and they understand that he doesn't want to talk about his job when he comes home. Like he just wants to talk about anything else. So they just get that. And the women are awesome.
The best way to make friends is like through kids. I moved away for a year and I was like, how am I ever going to meet friends? And I was like, oh my gosh.
Or a dog, like a puppy.
Dogs are good too.
Oh yeah, dog parks. Okay. And then we just got a puppy, which is a disaster.
Oh yeah.
And then the second question, do I ever feel like
need you censor yourself at all?
Yeah. There's certain things I won't talk about on my podcast, like sexual things I won't talk about.
Okay.
I just feel like that should be left in the bedroom. Also, for my kids' sake, if they ever listen to these, which I hope they don't, there's gonna be something way bigger than podcasts by the time they're old. But I would never want them to be like, what the hell? Other than that, I try to be as honest as I can. Yeah. Now I made a big mistake last year and I touched on the locker room and that hit the media and
I forgot you have the media to deal with. Oh God.
Yeah.
Did you regret that?
You know what? I regretted the way it took a turn. But what I said, it was pretty much relatable in all office spaces.
Okay.
That the younger generation, it's harder to connect with because they're constantly on their phones. And that's just is what it is.
Yep.
Like
that was
building friendships. Well, it came out in the media that Matthew wasn't relating to his younger teammates.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So
I'm sorry, but I wonder if that would have been the same deal now that the brothers have a podcast and talk about like everything.
Yeah, I agreed.
Because nothing, they're it's funny, but when you say it, it's a problem.
Yeah, and
terrible.
It sucked, but he came home and that hit the media storm, and so his teammates read it. So all of his young teammates are going, I thought we were relating fine, and they were. So it was just one of those things that was taken out of. But so there are certain things that I have to limit myself in discussing and realize that it can be taken and put in a certain way.
And he is a public figure.
And he's a public figure, and he's a leader of a team, and he's the face of an organization, and all these things.
Okay.
So I have to watch certain things. Now, it's also, we talk about it. I'm like, I also want to be myself because this is what this is, and you married me. You know who I am.
And hard facts, they are always on their phone. Like that's a fact. Like that's not even a lie.
And we all are, right?
And, like,
we all are on our phones.
We had
now.
to ban it in school. So
Yes.
it's not like it's like
it's not, but it's just
how it was taken.
You just don't mess with the locker room, and
Got
that
it,
ended up, even though it wasn't meant to do that, it ended up. So there are again certain things that I know I can't do, but for the most part, I'm pretty open and honest. I mean, I'm very open, honest on it about me as a mom and parenting, and how fucking hard it is and how I fail all the time. And that's really kind of the podcast right now. I think when Matthew retires, there'll be a little more that I'm able to say. Maybe not, because maybe he goes into announcing and then I'm in a whole nother boat. But yeah, I would say I try my best, and I stay away from certain things.
Okay.
Yeah.
fair.
And then the last thing,
Stay away from in-laws.
Yeah.
That's a good one to stay away from.
Yeah,
that's
it's
good.
so-
I think
good.
that's important.
That's a hard stop.
You said you and Hank are going to be doing live shows. What is this? Where is it happening?
How can people get tickets?
How can we get tickets? And
y'all
what's
are
this
the
setup
best.
going to be like?
Oh, I want y'all to come to the Detroit one.
So do we.
Okay.
Okay, we'll come.
Okay, so the Detroit one, so we have dates for a few, actually probably like 4 or 5?
When?
Okay.
When are they?
Okay, well, we haven't announced them.
Oh.
So we're planning on it soon. We're just getting all of the
paperwork.
And so, but the first one is going to be in Detroit. The season kicks off September 7th. See, this is why it's a little dicey. We play Detroit the first game. So
You'll do it while you're there.
It's going back there.
Oh, so you're going to do it when he's playing there.
He'll play on the Sunday. The live show will happen on the Saturday.
Good.
By the way, genius.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So no, we did one before we played them in the playoffs last year. We did one and it was so fun. Detroit people are just
You already did one. You and Hank already did one.
Yeah, we
Detroit
did. We've done two.
So fun. Were you
It's so
nervous?
fun. No, not really.
Was it you two having conversation? Was that what it was?
Where was it?
That's what it was. The one in Detroit was at
Royal
Oh, we
Oak.
did that.
You did that?
We've done
that.
So fun.
And
And then
casinos. We do a lot of casinos there.
okay,
Those
I
are
could
fun.
put you in
We're
touch
kind
if you
of
want.
we're kind of figuring out what exactly the size, because
The
we're
right
not as big
venue.
as you guys.
Right,
So like
right,
the
right.
size, but. And then we did one in New York that was kind of fun. And I was like, New York, what a joke. We're going to sell like 4 tickets.
Yeah.
And we did it at like a comedy club, like a little comedy. It was so fun.
Oh, we're definitely coming. We have to come.
I want to come to y'all's,
Yes.
but I'm going to ask you out on mine. So
Yeah,
that
yeah,
way
okay, okay.
Yeah.
my people
Okay.
can. But yeah.
Okay, we took up more time than we said we would. We
okay.
knew this was going to happen. We could talk to you forever.
Where do you want people to find
Yes.
you? Where do you want them to see you? How can they get more? And I know we'll link your podcast down below, and then you have an Instagram for your podcast, which is
and merch.
Yeah.
You sell that merch?
This is not for sale yet. There is a little bit of merch. We're kind of testing out some things.
Okay.
One of my things on our podcast is being just a mom, because for a while I was just a mom and it was like almost looked down on. And it really bothered me. So I'm sorry. I'm making just a mom like a positive thing.
Because that's what a lot of times people would be like, "Oh, what do you do?" And then people would be like, "I'm just a mom." We were like, "Hold on, don't say it like that."
Yeah,
exactly.
Or I just have one. I'm like, there's no.
Oh
just.
my gosh,
there's
no.
I just have one.
When
I'm
you-
like,
your life changes.
your brain is still full, whether you have 1 or 4. It's
I
just
agree.
The
Yeah,
fullest
take
it can
back
be.
just a mom and make it powerful.
Yes.
Don't have like a quarter that like doesn't go up because you have
Yes.
like it fills up no matter what.
Yeah. So just like being proud of it. So like putting it on things and things like that. But you can find us at the morning after Kelly and Hank, and then my personal page, if you're nice, is well, actually, if you're nice, you can go to the morning after. If you're not nice, go to KB Stafford 89. Thank you. And yeah, our podcast gets released every Tuesday on wherever you find your podcast, and it's just a fun time. So yeah,
thank you
Thank
so
you
much.
Oh my God, you're the best, literally.
Thank you for having me.
I guess I'm moving to LA. No, I'm joking.
Come on.